The denial of Igbo identity in some parts of the South is a political manipulation. Many people do not know the full extent of Igbo presence in Nigeria. The truth is, Igbo land is far larger than what many assume. The red marking on the image above shows where the Igbo are indigenous, and it stretches across 13 Nigerian states. This fact is not just hearsay. It is officially recognized in Nigeria's ethnic classification. According to the Nigerian government, the Igbos are indigenous in the following states: Enugu State, Abia State, Anambra State, Ebonyi, Imo State. Now, Delta State, we have Anioma, which comprises of Enuani, Ika, and Ukwani. River State, which comprises of the Ikwere, Oba, Eche, Ekpeye, Ndoni, Egbema, Opobo, Ndoki, Boni, and etc. Even in Okreka, there are Igbo-speaking communities, like the Okojago that I stated yesterday in my video. Now, in Edo State, we have the Ibanki and the Ekpon. They are Igbo-speaking communities. In Bayelsa State, Igbo indigenous communities are in Sagbama. I hope you know that. Good. Benue State, Umuezekohia communities in Obi, Oju, Ado local government. Kogi State, Igbo communities in Ibaji, Odolu, and the rest. Akwa Ibom State, there are Igbos in Ohubu, in Okanafon local government area, and etc. Cross River State, Igbos in Isobo, Abi, Iyala, Obubra, Ikom, Ogoja, etc. Name them. This shows that the Igbo are not confined to the 5 southeast states. The Igbo footprint spreads deep into the south, north central, and beyond. Now, here is the truth many are running from. Some south Igbos deny their identity, thinking it separates them from their southeast brothers. But denial cannot erase history, language, and culture. The Nigerian government itself recognizes Ukwane, Eka, Aniocha, Oshimili, Ikwere, Eche, Oba, Ekpeye, Ndoni, Opobo, and many others as Igbo groups. If the government treats this group the same way they treat the Southeast, it is because they know the truth. They are Igbos. That is why they suffer the same discrimination, marginalization, and hostility that other Igbo communities face. The denial of Igbo identity in some parts of the South is a political manipulation meant to weaken Igbo unity. But history, language, and culture proves otherwise. A people cannot run away from who they are. The Igbo nation is wider, stronger, and more united than artificial borders suggest. So why deny your blood? Why deny your heritage? Igbo identity is not something to be ashamed of. It is something to be proud of. The Igbo are one of the greatest peoples of the African continent. From Aba to Asaba, from Owerri to Okrika, from Nsukka to Ndoni, the Igbo spirit shines. No matter how far colonial borders or state creation have scattered us, Igbo bufu, the Igbo are one. This is not just about geography. It is about unity, history, and destiny. The Igbo nation is vast, rooted in many Nigerian states, and blessed with resilience that no tribe or government can erase. I hope this enters. Ibuza, also called Ibuza, is a historic Igbo town in Oshimili North local government area of Delta State, Nigeria. It is close to Asaba, the state capital, and is one of the major Eno-speaking communities in the Anioma region. The people speak the Eno-Ani dialects of the Igbo language and are known for their deep cultural traditions and strong sense of identity. The town traces its origin to 2 early Igbo migrants, Edini from Unri and Umeje from Isu. These migrations around the 15th century formed the basis of modern Ibuza. The name Ibuza came from a colonial mispronunciation of the Igbo name Ibuzo. The people of the town proudly identify as part of the broader Igbo race and maintain strong ancestral traditions. Ibuzo is situated on hilly land, giving it a unique landscape within the Anioma area. It is surrounded by towns like Asaba, Ogwashuku, Okpanam, and Ila. The quarters/obes that make up Ibuzo are Umueke, Umuodafi, Ogbowele, Umudi, Umweze, Umwehe, Ogboli. Yeah, I still recall that Nwokocha Agbaji was from Ogboli village of Ibuza in Buche Mishata's Joys of Motherhood. The remaining quarters include Ezuku slash Achala, Umwezagu, and Umwesagba. The community is blessed with natural and historical sites such as Okuzu Waterfall, a peaceful natural spot surrounded by forest, Oboshi Stream, tied to the spiritual history of the town, and Nyoshe, believed to be the original settlement of the town's founder. Ibuza has a rich cultural heritage rooted in both traditional beliefs and Christianity. While many people practice Christianity today, especially Catholicism, some families still maintain elements of traditional customs. One of the strong traditional symbols is the Oboshi River, which the people consider sacred. Traditionally, the fish from this river are not eaten. Social gatherings in Ibuza often begin with the breaking of kola nuts, which represents peace, respect, and hospitality. Hosting visitors with kola nuts is a central cultural practice and symbolizes acceptance and goodwill. During the Kumeku years, when the Western Igbo communities resisted the British because colonial policies were threatening their trade and freedom, the people of Ibuza played a major role in the struggle. Ekumeku was a long resistance war fought by the Western Igbos against British rule, and it lasted for about 30 or 31 years, if I'm not mistaken. In 1883, the British launched a surprise attack on Ibuza and caused heavy casualties. The people of Ibuza pulled back at first, but they later regrouped and launched a strong counterattack. They fought the British fiercely and held them off for a long time. When the British could not defeat the Ibuza warriors in open battle, they turned to destroying the farmlands of the community. They cleared and burned the crops, which led to hunger and hardship in the town. Because of this, the people eventually surrendered. The resistance of Ibuza became so significant that the town was discussed in the British Parliament, where lawmakers argued over what punishment should be given to the community for standing up to the British authority. Ibuza celebrates several cultural festivals. One of the major events is the Iwu Festival, observed at the end of the farming season. The festival involves Thanksgiving rituals, traditional silence periods, and ceremonial roles performed by elders and priests. Ibuza has a strong educational background and is home to some of the oldest schools in the region. Sacred Heart Primary School, founded in 1908, is one of the earliest mission schools in Delta State. St. Thomas's Teachers Training College, founded in 1928, played a major role in training teachers from across Nigeria. Other major schools in the town include Ibuza Girls College, St. Augustine's College, and Federal Girls Government College, Ibuza. Today, the town also hosts the Admiralty University of Nigeria, Adun, a growing federal institution that contributes to education and development in the entire region. Ibuza maintains a respected traditional leadership system. The town is led by the Obuzo of Ibuza, who serves as the traditional ruler and custodian of the people's heritage. There are also other important traditional institutions and elders who play key roles in cultural and community matters. Some prominent Ibuza indigenes include Professor Augustine O. Esobwe, a very distinguished systems engineer and academic. He was a professor at Georgia Tech, USA, in industrial and systems engineering, and has made big congratulations in operations research, health systems modeling, and engineering education. Professor Buchi Emecheta, a celebrated Nigerian writer and novelist. She wrote many important works, such as Second Class Citizen, The Bride Price, and The Joys of Motherhood. Her writing often addressed issues like motherhood, female independence, and African feminist experiences. Professor Pat Otomi, a renowned economist, public intellectual. Ambassador Ignatius Olisemeka, a career Nigerian diplomat, and others. Ibuza has become one of the fastest growing towns in Delta North, and this growth has greatly increased its population. One major reason is its closeness to Asaba, which makes many people who work or run business in Asaba choose to live in Ibuza. Another reason for the rapid growth is that the town offers peace, calmness, and a break from the busy life of Asaba. The people are also very welcoming to newcomers and visitors, making it easy for others to settle comfortably. In addition, the town has good soil and a favorable environment that supports farming and general growth. Truly, Ibuza is blessed with a very friendly and healthy climate. The Ndoki people are Igbo, not Ijaw. This is a fact that cannot be twisted, no matter how much revisionist history has been written. During the creation of River State, some historians like Alago tried to promote a false narrative in order to annex the coastal Igbo communities such as Boni, Okreka, Opobo, and Ndoki into Ijaw history. But the truth remains clear and unshakable. Ndoki, Ngwa, and Aro were among the ancestors of many of the communities that today are wrongly labeled as Ijaw in River State, communities that are often said to have migrated from Bayelsa. As how now? I don't understand. Let's face the fact. You cannot claim that Ndoki are Ijaw when they have never spoken any Ijaw dialect, never practiced Ijaw culture, and never carried Ijaw names. Instead, Ndoki people speak Igbo language, they live by Igbo tradition and customs, and they proudly carry Igbo ancestral names. Their way of life is distinctly Igbo and has been so for centuries. On the contrary, what we find today is that there are many Igbo-speaking communities with authentic Igbo ancestral roots in areas that have now been wrongly renamed as Ijaw territories. In fact, many Igbo names in those regions were only modified into Ijaw-sounding version to fit into the false narrative of Ijaw ownership. For instance, we have Ojimbama, changed to Amisudikibiama. We have Ukujiaguama, changed to Okujiago Ama. We still have Ndubisi Ama till today, and they all speak and understand Abam dialect of Abia State as their ancestors were Abam warriors. Even Asari Dokobo is an Abam man. He has always said it. Just as no one can cover the sun or the moon with bare hands, no one can hide the truth of history. The Igbo footprints are clear and deep in these coastal lands. Let's not forget that the Igbo influence along the coast was not accidental. The Ndoki, Ngwa, and Aro people were great traders, missionaries, and cultural bearers who spread far and wide, settling in communities and establishing kinship ties. It is no surprise that many of the so-called Ijaw territories today were once Igbo-founded communities. The sad reality is that this falsehood did not start yesterday. As far back as 1964, Ijaw revisionist historians began publishing works that attempted to blur Igbo identity in the Niger Delta region. This coincided with the political restructuring that eventually carved River State out of the old Eastern region, creating an environment where historical truth could be manipulated for political gain. Now, no matter how many books are written or how many names are altered, one thing remains unshakable. The Ndoki are Igbo. Their identity is rooted in blood, language, and culture. Things no one can rewrite or erase. I believe you know that Fubara is an Igbo man. Have you seen him speak Igbo? Clear Igbo sound. I think they were forced to change their names to Ijaw names, but they can't even speak Ijaw language. It is laughable. It is laughable. To call Ndoki Ijaw is not only misleading, it is an insult to history, to culture, and to the ancestors who lived and died as proud Igbo.